Most financial gurus tell you that you need six figures or $1 million to feel secure. But the mechanics of wealth building actually shift much earlier, right at the $20,000 mark. Getting to that first milestone is a grueling effort. You are straining and sweating against gravity, making almost invisible progress while pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill. Psychologists call this phase survival mode. When you have zero savings, your brain filters every financial decision through fear and scarcity. Your mental bandwidth gets consumed by immediate threats. You end up agonizing over whether to buy a $3 coffee or standing in the supermarket aisle debating between name brand and generic cereal because every dollar feels like a risk to your stability. Look at the numbers required to escape this phase. This diagram tracks a person saving $1,000 every month and earning an 8% return on their investments. It takes 19 straight months of discipline and delayed gratification to hit that $20,000 mark. A year and a half is a long time to sacrifice. Most people give up during this window because the day-to-day progress feels invisible. But hitting that specific number means your financial boulder finally crests the peak. Everything before this point is an uphill battle against gravity. Everything after it allows gravity to work in your favor. So what exactly happens to the math once you cross that line? This chart compares the timeline for your first and second milestones. The first block is those grueling 19 months, but the second 20,000 only takes about 17 months. Your initial money starts generating its own returns alongside your deposits. That's compound interest in action. Your existing money earns money without extra labor. We can see exactly how this scales side by side. A 10% return on a $2,000 balance gives you just $200. Apply that same 10% return to $20,000 and you get $2,000. At this scale, single-digit percentages stop being background noise. They turn into thousands of dollars flowing into your account without lifting a finger. The math is clear, but the way you approach a crisis also changes once you move out of survival mode. This step chart illustrates recent research from Vanguard. Having just $2,000 in emergency savings boosts your well-being by 21%. Pushing that reserve to 3 to 6 months of living expenses, landing right around $20,000, creates an additional 13% spike. You spent over a year tracking your dollars and saying no to impulses. By sticking to that routine, you prove to yourself that you can master delayed gratification, reinforcing your ability to set and meet long-term goals. A dead laptop used to be a crisis that derailed your whole month. With reserves in the bank, that exact same event becomes a minor inconvenience. When you stop worrying about immediate survival, your mental bandwidth opens up. You spot a rental property deal, invest in a friend's new business, or attend a major networking conference. A financial buffer gives you the mental space required to stop playing defense against emergencies and start playing offense to build wealth. Living paycheck to paycheck traps you in a weak negotiating position. If you need next week's check to survive, you cannot risk pushing back on unreasonable demands or exploring other career options. Accumulating $20,000 introduces walking away money. The power dynamic between you and your employer shifts because you could quit tomorrow and survive for months while looking for something better. You start negotiating from a position of strength. You can ask for a raise or refuse a terrible assignment, knowing that the worst-case scenario will not result in financial ruin. Operating with less fear of being fired often leads to taking on more challenging projects or setting firmer boundaries. This shift in posture changes your professional positioning compared to those who are acting out of desperation. Your emergency savings acts as an invisible career lever, converting the desperation you used to feel into the leverage you need to increase your income. Warning tone: the absolute worst mistake you can make when you finally hit this milestone is treating it as a reward. The first instinct is often to celebrate by putting a down payment on a brand new car. The moment a new vehicle leaves the lot, it loses about 1/5 of its value. Between payments, insurance, gas, and maintenance, you end up dropping hundreds of dollars every month on an asset that is actively losing value. This chart shows the reality of opportunity cost. While the $30,000 car spends the next decade plummeting in value, That exact same $30,000 invested over 20 years compounds into over $200,000. You stop obsessing over $3 coffees and generic groceries, and you aim your focus at the macro decisions: housing costs, transportation choices, and investment structure. Reaching $20,000 provides the baseline necessary to stop reacting to financial surprises and start making intentional strategic choices.